Something's happened recently, and it might have been more recent than that, but I had an epiphany. Have you ever scrolled on Twitter or typed in Mihawk and Shanks? Now, this has been a long debate. Like, this has been going on ever since I joined the community. Mihawk versus Shanks. And every time, I swear, the two sides, they're so crafty and they come up with different ways to put one over the other. I swear, it is masterful, and they've crafted so many ways to say Mihawk over Shanks or Shanks over Mihawk. At the end, I'll tell you guys where I'm leaning at this point, because I'll just let you guys know a bit later. Mihawk versus Shanks, I don't think is by accident. The story lends itself to that. But I think recently, more of the posts I've seen on Twitter or on social media in general leads me to believe that Mihawk versus Shanks will never be resolved.
Yo, G, I meant to ask you, we ain't talk about this since you've been caught up.
Yeah.
We ain't talk about your favorite characters.
It's a few characters. It's a few characters that I resonated with. I really liked Law. I like Gadatsu as well. For some reason, I like Gadatsu. But like Shanks. I like Shanks.
You're a Shanks guy. Okay.
I know Mihawk's your guy. But I like Shanks a lot, man.
Okay, let me ask you one question. Let me ask you one very important question.
What question is that?
Who you think is stronger?
Bro, before I got caught up, you used to get mad about stuff like this.
I'm not gonna get
you
mad.
love me. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, man.
Like that, I'm not. Who you think? You know, I'm not tripping, bro. Either way, I'm not tripping, bro. Either way,
okay.
I'm just happy all right.
What
do you think?
Honestly, Shanks. I think Shanks is stronger.
Okay, well, but why do you say that?
Well, I don't know, man. He just looks kind of cool. I think he's kind of cool, and
okay.
He's a Yonko, shit like that.
Do you think Shanks is the strongest, even though Mihawk is the world's greatest swordsman?
Bro,
No. I just want to understand what you're saying. You're saying Shanks is the strongest, even though Mihawk is the world's greatest swordsman.
Bro, I knew you would get.
How does that make sense, bro?
All I said was Shanks is stronger.
No, bro. How does that make sense?
That's just how I feel about it. I think that he has crazy hockey. He was destroying Whitebeard's ship and stuff.
He's a hockey man.
Bro, I don't care if it was a little part. He did it. He did it.
When is that just strength?
That's all I'm saying. He did it. He did it.
No, tell me when is that just strength?
He did it. Okay, bro. He clashed with Whitebeard. Mihawk didn't do that.
Okay.
Bro, I'm not trying to hear that.
Did Oda not say that Shanks?
I'm not trying to hear that.
Is Mihawk not the strongest?
I'm not trying to hear that.
Oh, okay. This nigga got fucked. He got a hockey Amaterasu.
Okay.
That's what he does.
Whatever, bro.
No, that don't make no sense.
Whatever, bro.
No. As long as you tell him to subscribe. As long as you tell him to subscribe.
You tell him to subscribe. Why don't you say that? You can look to them and tell them to subscribe
right now.
do it. You're supposed to do it anyway.
Bro, you can literally tell them the same thing. You tell them to subscribe.
Why I gotta do it?
Tell them to subscribe now. And like as well.
Alright, since they clearly aren't in a position to do this, please subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Coming into it, when you talk about Mihawk versus Shanks, as characters, I think it's pretty even. One may say Mihawk so far has more depth to him, but we've seen some from Shanks where you can imply, well, there's more going on with him. So I think as characters, pretty solid, pretty even there. But likability, I think likability is something that fans gravitate to. And for Mihawk and Shanks, they both have qualities that make them very likable. First off, character design. I think that as well could be a wash, but Mihawk might have a better character design, but Shanks is just so damn beautiful, and I think what he represents in the story makes it a bit even. Like, the drip god is definitely Mihawk, but Shanks with the red hair, the jacket, the coat, the one arm, his sword, they're both amazing in regards to character design. Both drippy as so that's a wash, right? So then, okay, if as characters, pretty even, character design, pretty even, character agency, and that's something that isn't discussed a lot in regards to One Piece and its characters. Basically, for character agency, it's making your character feel a bit more real and be more proactive than react. Whereas they're moving things forward in the story or being more proactive in the story. Character agency, how these characters operate within this medium. In regards to character agency, how does Shanks and Mihawk stack up? Or maybe I should explain that a bit better. Let's just use these bullet points, right? 1, a character's ability to make meaningful decisions, and 2, a demonstration of a character's ability to affect a story. So when you think of those two things in character agency, When you think about Mihawk and Shanks, how do they affect the story? How meaningful are their decisions? You could argue that is dead on as well. For Mihawk, that's the long game in regards to he's Zoro's goal. So at the end of the day, he has to be there and be this solid foundation for Zoro to eventually eclipse. And in a way, I think his character agency has somewhat been bolstered because of the Warlord thing, where now Mihawk's decision after the abolishment of the Shichibukai system may be important. It seems like Mihawk is just happy to be chased again, but what decisions does he make after this? After he rids himself of these Marines going after him, what next? How impactful will these decisions be in regards to the story? If Mihawk decides to go start his own crew and become a Yonko himself, major impact. If Mihawk just goes off and decides to be in his own part of the world and not really affect anything until Zoro runs into him, minor impact, but still major influence based on what we know is to come. People have been saying Mihawk goes off and he probably joins Shanks, seeks some refuge with Shanks, which doesn't really match up, in my opinion, to what his character seems to be portrayed as. He's a loner, he's by himself, and if you want to go challenge him, you can, but he probably more than likely will defeat you, for the most part, and that's the simplified version of Mihawk's character agency. For Shanks, some of it is headcanon, but some of it has been foreshadowed, and some of it is very important. Shanks, from what we know, his decision to sacrifice himself for Luffy, where some of it is being tied in now based on what we know about the prophecy. Shanks said that Luffy said the same thing that Roger said back then. And to be honest, we still don't know what that is. A lot of people assume that it's the Pirate King. I have a video coming out that I'll explain that Luffy's dream to become the Pirate King is a bit different, right? Him and Roger, they had other things they wanted to accomplish. Their dream is actually something else. Not to become the Pirate King. It's something else. So Shanks heard that and made a decision that has greatly impacted the story. Shanks' decision is the reason why this story exists. Even Garb said Red here, and his influence on Luffy is why we are where we are. But that was beforehand. What about now? Shanks is still making very impactful movements and decisions in this story, whereas Mihawk has remained somewhat stagnant. Shanks took it upon himself to stop Kaido from going to Marineford. Shanks took it upon himself to go warn Whitebeard about Blackbeard. Shanks took it upon himself to go and stop the Marineford War. Shanks took it upon himself to go to Maryjoy's and warn the Gorosei about a certain pirate. When you think about Shanks' decisions in the story, right, and how many of them have meaningful impact, no competition, in my opinion. But again, Mihawk is the long game. Shanks, for a lot of people, they feel like he could go out of the story next arc. Even Oda said Shanks will move in 2021. Is this when Shanks goes after Blackbeard? Because I don't see him coming out on the right end of that. Again, when you look at those two things, when you look at everything I just laid out, do you now understand why people like these characters? They impact the world, they're drippy, they're amazing, but it all goes back to strength, where I feel like strength should be the last thing that's debated, which is debated a lot. Everything else they've done and how they impact the story in other ways is much more interesting. But it goes back to strength. People dumb it down to just strength when they're more impacted by other things. But Oda is a master of nuance. Hey, you understand. Sometimes it come across a timeline and you just gotta, alright, y'all understand what I'm saying. Anyway, but Oda is a master of nuance, right? Where Oda specifically puts things in the story for you to question certain things. Mihawk is the world's greatest swordsman, right? Shanks is a Yonko. Oda had Mihawk specifically say Luffy's path is a lot more difficult than Zoro's path, right? Oda also had in the story that Whitebeard is the world's strongest man, but Oda also had that Roger is the Pirate King. But to be the Pirate King, you have to overcome so many different obstacles, and you have to have, requisite strength to protect those around you, and the Pirate King is super respected. And Oda also throws in that, okay, Shanks became famous off of fighting Mihawk, but when they fought, it rang throughout the New World. But then also, Shanks became a Yonko years after fighting Mihawk, but Shanks has lost an arm, but Mihawk won't fight him, but Shanks hasn't lost any strength. Based on the story, he's probably gotten strong. What? Bro, the mental gymnastics you have to fucking jump over to somewhat make this make sense in regards to strength, it's impossible. So when it comes down to it, when you talk about their strength, it's a toss-up. But people lean to different sides based on other things that's happened in the story. It clicked to me. That's why when you talk about Mihawk versus Shanks, it will never be resolved. But I think sometimes we trick ourselves to make it seem like this is a pragmatic discussion when it's really not. A lot of it's theoretical, and we operate based off of things that we don't know and try to assume based on things we do know and come to conclusions. So the point of this is to say we should not take this seriously, because this is intentional by the author, for it to be nuanced, for it to be theoretical, for us to discuss, for us to pick sides, like Zoro and Sanji, Whitebeard and Roger, Luffy and Blackbeard. I think that's the message of One Piece. There are different methods, different ways. Right and wrong does not exist. They're just different ways to do things. Who wins has the power, but there's always going to be someone on the other side, because some people may resonate with a different route. So with Mihawk and Shanks, bro, they're nothing alike. They have different routes, different things, and different approaches to things. Shanks has a jolly crew around him, parties all the time. Mihawk, a loner by himself, strictly wants to achieve strength. And of course, Oda throws things into vivid cards like Mihawk searching for someone stronger than Shanks. It's a fun discussion that could quickly turn toxic with the wrong people. But that's why you have this conversation with the right people. Other things come up. Other ways that this character or these characters have impacted you come up. Then you realize this isn't about strength at all. This is really about how the decisions these characters have made have impacted my view of the story. Some people really like Shanks because of what he did for Luffy, what he tried to do for Ace, and ultimately what he did at the Marineford War. And thus, because it's a toss-up between him and Mihawk, you choose Shanks. This is not pragmatic at all. If you go off of matter of fact, to be real, you can look at Mihawk's the world's greatest, Shanks has a swordsman. That should end it, right? But then you go deeper. You think about situations where the translation is a bit wonky. Mihawk said, hey, let's see the distance between us and that guy. Shanks already clashed with that guy that Mihawk was trying to assess the difference between them. Again, the translations for that is a bit spotty, but that's the gist of it, right? Shanks clashed with him. Shanks has already closed the distance. And then you go to Kaido and Shanks. Shanks apparently clashed with Kaido numerous times in the New World. Wasn't one time, numerous times. And my guy CGK, he says this all the time. Basically what the story's been telling us for Kaido, it's a funny argument, but it has some basis to it. Kaido's lost to Yonko before. It seems like Kaido never really fought Whitebeard. Big Mom and Kaido, they have not fought since Rocks, or talked since Rocks, or met each other since Rocks. The only other Yonko left is Shanks. So is Shanks the Yonko that Kaido lost to? Guys, again, this should be fun. It should be fun. There are a lot of people online that they're going to find different ways to say things, but I try to have fun with it. And ultimately, this is why Mihawk versus Shanks will never be resolved, because they're never going to fight again. We will never know who is truly stronger. It's just based on what you believe and what you think and things that resonate with you. That's why I always say whatever side you choose, I'm okay with, because both sides have points. And so it is what it is. Just let's not take it too seriously, because guys, no matter what you say, if somebody really likes that character, you're not going to change their minds. Of course, more things could come out in the story. Oda could say things that could completely change our perspective. But right now, it's just fun banter, and that's where it should stay. But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about Mihawk versus Shanks? Do you think this will ever have a resolution? Because I don't think so. But give me your thoughts. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thanks to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Guys, again, like, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
I start doubting me, I felt lost.